Right, this conversation needs to happen because loads of care workers are being told they're self-employed, but in reality, some are actually working in ways that HMRC may class as being employed. And the scary bit, many don't even realise it's a problem or even know it's a thing. So anyway, before anyone panics, this video isn't anti-self-employment. You know, I'm massively pro-independent care, pro-self-employment. I built the Professional Carers Network around helping care workers do this properly. But there's a huge difference between genuine self-employment and faux self-employment. And there's just been some new sector guidance released on this exact topic. So that's super exciting. So today we are deep diving into that guidance. It's called the PA Employment Status Guide. And we're going to look at what it actually means for being self-employed in care. So what it means for self-employed carers, personal assistants and families using care. Because honestly, this stuff matters a lot more than anyone thinks. And one of the biggest problems in care right now is care workers being pushed into fake self-employment. And this creates huge problems for both the care worker and the person needing support. So let's talk about the care worker side of things first. So false self-employment, it often means that they don't get any holiday pay, no sick pay, no protections, no flexibility, no proper business, just all the responsibilities dumped onto the care worker. So all the bad stuff basically. That's not empowerment, that's exploitation. But genuine self-employment done right, now that can be incredible. If it's flexible working, better continuity of care, better relationships, better pay, more freedom, actual ownership over your work and your business, you're building something you're truly proud of. And when done properly, it can genuinely be a win for everyone involved. So now let's look at the person needing care side of things, because genuine self-employment can also work brilliantly for families too. They get the benefits of all the personalised, flexible support without all the added responsibility and stress and paperwork that comes with becoming an employer. But if the care worker isn't genuinely self-employed and that relationship later breaks down, then the risk can become huge for the person needing care. That person or their family, in fairness, they could potentially face issues around false self-employment. So that could include being asked to pay backdated tax, backdated national insurance contributions, holiday pay claims, and other employment sort of liabilities such as sick pay, maternity leave, pensions, all that type of thing. And honestly, for families already navigating the stress and like the emotional weight of care, that's just the last thing they need. And so this is partly why some councils have become really nervous about using self-employed care workers. Some have just banned it altogether, but that's absolutely not the way forward. That's not what we should be doing. Because genuine self-employed carers can provide incredible support and help create that diverse personalised care market that the Care Act actually encourages. In fact, places a duty on local councils to create a diverse care market. So this is why getting a self-employment status right matters so much. So this guidance that's been released is just amazing. It's not there to scare people away from becoming independent carers, but it's there to protect everyone involved and make sure that these arrangements are safe, sustainable and genuinely beneficial for both carers and the families. Now, one of the biggest myths in care is this, right? If you call yourself self-employed, then you are self-employed. Nope, that's just not the way it works. That's not how HMRC see it at all. So the new guidance literally says employment status depends on the actual facts of the arrangement. So you can't just sign a self-employed agreement, I am self-employed, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't work like that. You can't just invoice someone and be magically self-employed and you just have a UTR number and job done, you're self-employed. It's just, that's not the way it works. So self-employment isn't what you say, it's how you actually work. So a bit like parenting actually. So kids do what you do, not what you say. And self-employment just works just the same way. It's your actions and your working arrangements and your level of independence that matter. So here's where carers need to be careful. These are some of the biggest red flags for full self-employment. Someone's telling you exactly when to work. You can't turn work down, so you can't turn that extra shift down. You only work for one client. The person needing care completely controls your rates, so you've not told them how much it is, they've told you. You moved around like staff. You don't run an actual business, so you don't market yourself. So you're basically treated like staff, but without the staff benefits. Now, if you look at Harry's example in the guidance, page 27, it's actually a really good example of how false self-employment presents itself in care. And honestly, these arrangements are often created with like good intentions. Usually, people are just trying to keep things nice and simple. But in Harry's case, the client exercises significant control over his work and what he does when he does it. So really, he should be an employee. And the guidance clearly determines that that arrangement is false self-employment. Now, let's talk about the good side, right? Because genuine self-employed care workers absolutely do exist. And here's what you should genuinely be seeing if you are genuinely self-employed. So, you choose your clients, you set your own rates, you market your own business, you invoice clients directly, you normally work with multiple clients, you can say no to extra work or extra hours, you manage your own tax or have an accountant do it for you, you run an actual business, you're building your own reputation, and you have like contingency plans in place if you can't attend. Now, in the guidance, George, page 27, is considered genuinely self-employed. One of the biggest reasons for this is that George has a substitution clause in his contract, meaning he could send another worker in his place at his own expense if needed. And on paper, that's a strong indicator of self-employment. But care is different, because in reality, most people receiving care wouldn't be comfortable with like a complete stranger, unknown to them, just suddenly turning up at the door. Knock, knock, I come to help with your morning routine. You don't know me from Adam, but I'm here. Honestly, not okay. And most good carers wouldn't feel comfortable doing that either. Which is exactly why the employment status in care can get so messy compared to like normal industries, because care relationships are very different to normal businesses. Trust matters, continuity matters, personal care matters. You can't always just send a random substitute into somebody's home. It just doesn't work like that. And so that's exactly why care doesn't fit neatly into standard self-employment tests. And we can see this in the guidance with Helen, page 31. She is a micro provider, so that's the type of care model that we love. So with Helen's situation, the guidance takes you through the CESS tool, which helps determine if you are self-employed or not. And the outcome of this is undetermined, which just shows you how tricky fitting the care business into a neat little employment test box is really. It just can't really be done. So how do you protect yourself? This is what I personally think all self-employed carers should be doing. So first off, you need to have knowledge around this area. You need to understand the actions you take that make you truly self-employed, such as having a UTR number so that you are registered as a sole trader, that you submit your own tax return or use an accountant to do it, that you have your own insurance, that you have your own contracts and set your own terms and conditions, that you set your own rates, that you find your own work and you market your own business and you build a business that you're proud of. You work with multiple clients, you're able to decline work, you invoice your clients directly. and you have a solid plan B in place if you can't attend. And I also want to make something really super clear. This guidance is not saying self-employed care is bad. Actually, the guidance openly recognises that self-employed care workers and micro providers can play a valuable role in personalised care. It's just what the market needs, but it's about doing it properly, about protecting carers and about protecting families and building sustainable independent care businesses. And honestly, this is exactly why I created the Professional Carers Network, to be able to help care workers build genuine, sustainable, ethical care businesses properly. Because independent care can work brilliantly for everybody involved, but only if we do it right. So I strongly recommend you check out the guidance, and it's really worth just 5 minutes of your time just giving it a good read. There's some fabulous work gone into it, like lots and lots of good co-production work, so it's amazing. Okay, until next time. And it's